No one yet. We'll give it a minute or so. I didn't really make an alert. What?
I'm going to call Beth and tell her she's off book for tomorrow.
Okay. So we're going to get this stream started in just a moment here, but going to make a quick tweak because I forgot to do that earlier. So we'll wait a minute. We got someone in. I'm going to start in just a minute. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started here. All right, so welcome back to WMAC Now with your host, Chuck Stevenson. Welcome to the weekend review for, what was it, the 10th through the 11th through the 13th? 10th, technically, because PFL was on Thursday night the 10th. Big weekend of ladies' fights. We had a couple of boxing crossovers. I think this is the first time two boxers had ever crossed over on the same weekend. I mean, not the first time that boxers have fought in women's MMA, but certainly the first time I think we've had two boxers fighting on the same weekend in MMA. Two separate events, though. We had Clarissa Shields over at PFL and then Amanda Serrano at Icon. Both had very different fights. Both had very different types of opponents. But so let's go ahead and talk about it. First, let's talk about Clarissa Shields' fight. So Clarissa Shields defeated Brittany Elkin via third round TKO. This fight, it was pretty low level. Michael Moon's asking about it. This is what you would expect from someone crossing over that did not really train a whole lot for this fight. I mean, I'm not going to say that she didn't train for this fight. She didn't have a lot of time to prepare for this fight. Only like 6-7 months of MMA training. I mean, obviously a lifetime of boxing before this, but, you know, Shields didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare for an MMA fight. Honestly, in my opinion, I think she took this fight way too early, and it showed. I mean, Brittany Elkin only needed one takedown in each of the first two rounds to get Shields down and completely control her there. Then late towards in the second round, she went for an arm bar, and I don't know what she was thinking. Kind of like gave up on it, and then proceeded to get beat up on the ground, eat some punches to the face, and you could tell that, you know, Elkin was done by the end of the second round. And it showed even more when she came out for the third. Wasn't really committed to her takedown. And anyway, I think that this was actually a really good matchmaking by PFL in that it showed Clarissa exactly what she needed to work on. Elkin was a perfect opponent. You know, journeyman record, 3-6 coming into this. Now she's 3-7. She threatened Clarissa Shields without actually really coming close to finishing her. And that was my biggest problem with Elkin's performance, was that she really didn't even, other than that aborted armbar attempt, she did not really try to finish Clarissa. And that's really disappointing. But hey, that's why she's 3-6. Shields did what she had to do. She survived. I got to give her full credit. Her composure while being mounted in two separate rounds, staying calm, not, panicking, which is very common for beginner MMA fighters. She didn't panic at all, so she kept her calm, kept her composure, and that allowed her to keep her gas tank. And that's what got her to the third round and allowed her to win in the third. So hats off to Clarissa Shields. I think she took that fight too early, a little too soon, but she got the win. That's all that matters. Am I a Clarissa Shields fan? No, but I'll give credit where it's due. Now, was this a good fight? Not by any means. The fight was just bad. It really was. It was a low level. It was a low level MMA fight. If it was not Clarissa Shields, if she didn't have a name behind her, she would not. That fight would not be in the main event. That's the only reason that was main eventing. Period. Otherwise, it would be buried on the prelims. A couple comments. All Clarissa has to do is work on her jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and takedown defense, and she's going to be a force. Well, that's a lot. Jiu-jitsu and wrestling are two totally different elements. I mean, they're kind of connected in grappling, but that's a tall order. Is she going to be a force? It's women's lightweight. It doesn't take much. Wasn't hurting Shields, but she was in full mount throwing strikes. Yeah, Elkin was like throwing like some weak shots. She has like no power in her ground and pound. Judy says Shield looked lost. Elkins didn't do much. She really did not. She got her down, was able to keep her there, but then she really didn't do much with the mount. Even when she had her in mount, it's like she didn't do anything with it. Yeah, Shields is very composed. And Leon congratulating Judy on being a mod. The other end of the boxing invasion on Friday night at Icon 7, I think she's like 7 or 8 division champion, Amanda Serrano, had her third MMA fight. She defeated Valentina Garcia via guillotine choke submission at a minute of the first round. So very different fight, but also very different level of opponents too. I mean, Shields faced a much better opponent in Elkin than Serrano did in Valentina Garcia. Garcia, it was a pro debut, only 19 years old, not a whole lot of fighting experience, and you could tell she was nervous being in there with someone like Amanda Serrano. You could tell she didn't have a whole lot of experience striking, and Serrano was just able to, pick her apart for all of about 45 seconds and then latched on the guillotine. It was a 10-finger guillotine choke. And Garcia was, knew she was out and tapped. But, to get in a standing guillotine, for the most part, it's a beginning level submission. You don't see it too often in high level MMA. Yes, I know like John Jones over Machida, a couple fights like that. But for the most part, how often do you see a standing guillotine choke in MMA? You just don't. So Serrano, I'll give her credit though, because to even submit someone is totally outside of her usual wheelhouse in boxing. So she definitely has shown, Serrano, she's, done BJJ for multiple years. I believe she's a blue belt, and she's won a couple like local tournaments at her belt level. So Serrano has dedicated herself more to her MMA training a little bit more. Well, not a little bit more, definitely a lot more than, Clarissa Shields has. But at the same time, it's, you look at her previous opponents. I've got to take a minute here to look at these. Her first opponent was Karina Herrera. Karina Herrera was 3-4 in Serrano's debut back in April of 2018. Got a draw against her. And then her next fight was later on that year in October, and she defeated Arendina Ordonez via standing rear naked choke, and Ordonez was 2-1. So oddly, Serrano's opponents have gone down lower in quality the more fights she has. So it's kind of weird. But still, both late female boxers came into MMA, and both were successful this weekend. So what that means for women's boxing as a whole coming over MMA, I don't know. I think that there's more money for the women in MMA than there is in boxing overall, unless you're like Katie Taylor, who's making bank. But So Shields, she's not giving up on boxing. I think she's going to do one more MMA fight. She said like August, September, and then wants to close out the year with a boxing match. So, she's going to kind of like go back and forth. And Amanda Serrano, I said this in a comment on someone else's video, that I think she's going to go wherever the money is at the time. So if a boxing match and an MMA fight were to come up at about the same time, both had offers for her, I think that Serrano is going to go with whichever one pays more. But so I don't think we've seen the last. I mean, we certainly have not seen the last of women boxers coming in MMA, and there have been women MMA fighters that have boxing matches. It's just they're rarely, if ever, advertised. I mean, I know Catherine Paparocki has boxed. I know that Kate Hansen has boxed. She's boxed on Roy Jones Jr. events or promoted events. But the women boxers are definitely always going to get promoted a lot more when they come to MMA than women MMA fighters will when they go over to boxing. Take a look at the comments. No fighter wants to stand and strike with Clarissa, though. Do we know that for sure? She just had a pro debut. And also, so we can't say that no fighter wants to stand and strike with her because she's had one fight. So can't really use that model. And we all knew what Brittany Elkin was going to do, though. She was going to go in there and take her down. Could be very different story the next fighter. I mean, gotta remember, yeah, Clarissa's boxing is great, but we don't know what someone's going to do once they start kicking her, how she'll react to like a hard low kick or when someone kicks her in the face. We don't know. Also, why would anyone want to stand with her? She's already been exposed on the ground. Vita Ortega, sub Denise Kielholtz, good example. Via standing guillotine, very rare though, yeah. Clarissa definitely packs leather, like Judy said. CJ32 Pool 2, welcome to the chat. Michael Moon, any good MMA fighter could stand and destroy Shields. She's horrible. What are you talking about? I don't want to say she's horrible. But, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not going to say she's horrible. But I think she overextended on her punches a little bit. Michael Moon, CJ, nobody's going to stand trade shots with Shields. The F you mean. And CJ32 says, Puerto Rico. Leon says, Clarissa and Katie are in completely different weight classes, and Clarissa would destroy Katie. But I know. Come on. Well, yeah, okay. Because of the size disparity, yeah. Yeah, CJ and Michael Moon getting into a bit of an argument here. Shields couldn't stand with Valentina, period, end story. Actually, Michael, like I said, there are women MMA fighters that have gone to boxing and have had mixed success. But we've also seen boxers come to MMA and have mixed success as well. Heather Hardy is, I think, 1-2. Ava Knight is 1-1. And Heather Hardy was a world champion at the time. Judy says, as a boxer, Clarissa is great, but I think she will have issues in MMA. With time, she can improve. Yeah, I think Clarissa Shields definitely has potential. It's just how dedicated is she? I mean, it takes a lot of work to do good in MMA, and you have to be dedicated to it. And more talk about Shields. She barely looked like a good boxer that night. Yeah, I agree. I don't think her boxing looked that good. Fast. And she definitely had more power than she does in boxing, but most of her strikes were on the ground. So, yeah, Shields is definitely not a KO queen. At least not what we've seen yet. Okay, so that is it for the boxing invasion fallout. So let's talk some more MMA. Also on Friday, Bellator 260. had one ladies bout in the featherweight division. Marina Rodriguez defeated Amanda Bell via unanimous decision. Rodriguez climbed to 5-2. Bell fell to 7-8. I'll be surprised. I did not expect Rodriguez to go to decision against Bell, or at least not to win a decision against Bell. Bell did not look very good in this fight overall. Not that she's ever been a great fighter, but she's certainly a threat on the feet with her knockout power. And whereas Rodriguez, and all of her wins before this were via first-round submission. So for her to go to and win a decision definitely shows some growth from her as a fighter overall. Then going back to Icon, they had 3 other bouts on this card. And I'll be honest, they were all fairly low-level bouts. Leon says she could get cut. She could, Amanda Bell, but probably not. Probably not, just because the division is so thin. And when Amanda Bell is on, she knocks chicks out. So she'll probably bounce back with a win after this. We'll have to see, though. Let's see. We'll go to this one first. Claudia at a 165 catch weight. This bout was supposed to be a featherweight, and Denise Soto came in like super heavy. So 165 catch weight. Claudia Zamora defeated Denise Soto via submission due to rear naked choke, minute 49 seconds of the second round. Zamora climbed to 3-1. Soto fell to 1-1. This fight was like put together like very last minute. So no surprise Soto came in late, overweight, and had to go to a catch weight. Zamora moved up. First, she was moving up one class from bantamweight to feather, and then all the way up to the catch weight. Excuse me. Just to allow this fight to happen. But Zamora took on a much bigger opponent. Obviously not nearly as athletic or nearly as skilled, but still took on a much bigger opponent, which just goes to show you that a smaller, skilled person can defeat a bigger, lesser skilled person. So nice work there for Claudia Zamora. She climbed to 3-1. Soto fell to 1-1. Apparently, Soto was on was on the Mexican national Greco-Roman wrestling team. I don't know. In the opener at flyweight, Rosalind Chavira on the left-hand side there defeated Sofia Salazar via submission due to rear naked choke, 3 minutes, 19 seconds of the first round. Chavira climbed to 1-0. Salazar fell to 0-1. I'll be honest, Chavira looked a lot bigger and definitely looked a lot more well-trained than Salazar did. Nicolene. And then last one on this one, besides, Serrano versus Garcia. At featherweight, Ramona Pascual defeated Guadalupe Guzman via submission due to key lock at 2 minutes, 50 seconds of the first round. Pascual climbed to 5-2. Guzman fell to 0-1. Nice job by Ramona Pascual. Just overall, more experience. Definitely the experience factor, played a big factor in this one. Guzman, threatened with an ankle lock at one point, but Pascual was able to work past it, get to side control, and then I think she ended up mounting her where she got the key lock. So you don't see too many key locks. So it was nice to see. That was it. Or no, one last event on Friday. This one's going to take a minute. The Invicta Atomweight Phoenix Tournament in the Atomweights. So had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bouts total. 7 of them for the tournament. 1 was a reserve. First bout, Jessica Delboni defeated Tabitha Ann Watkins via decision. All of these bouts were exhibition except for the main event, the tournament final. So they were no records changed. But Delboni seemed to have some trouble with Watkins. Watkins threatened an armbar for most of the round, but Del Boni pulled through, got the decision. Then in the second quarterfinal, Lindsey Van Zant defeated Katie Perez via submission due to armbar, 3 minutes, 10 seconds. Van Zant just kind of tore through Perez. I mean, Van Zant, just big hurry. Only finish of the night, too, so nice for her to do that. And then Jillian DeCourcy Linda Mahalik on the right-hand side there defeated Jillian DeCourcy via split decision. Mahalik just threw the harder punches and did the more damage, although she didn't come through unscathed either. And then in the final quarterfinal bout, Marissa Messer-Belancia defeated Paulina Granados via split decision. I thought this one was more clear-cut than the bout before this. Belancia just came forward throwing hard, heavy leather and just kept backing Granados up. And Granados just wasn't able to really deal with the reach of Belancia. Then in the tournament reserve bout, Samantha Seff on the right-hand side there defeated Kara Bislowski via split decision. Seff, honestly, this is probably the only truly boring bout on the card. Seff just wanted to keep taking Bislowski down and hold her there. Didn't really do much when she got it there. Bislowski kept trying to fight to get back to her feet, so I got to give credit to her for that. But just was a very uneventful fight. Then in the semifinal bouts, first up, Lindsey Van Zant defeated Linda Mahalik via decision. Van Zant just so much faster than Mahalik, was just able to, really pick her apart for all 5 minutes. Mahalik gave forth a spirited effort, though, but she came in. She already had her one eye was like halfway swollen shut. So she came in a little bit damaged and still gave a hell of an effort, though. Then in the other semifinal bout, Jessica Del Boni defeated Marissa Belancia. Del Boni, I wasn't very impressed with either her quarterfinal or semifinal bout, but it paid off dividends because, she seemed really reserved. But like I said, it ended up paying off dividends because, you got to the final and Del Boni really took it to Lindsey Van Zant. She just kept pressuring forward. And she would back Lindsey Van Zant up to the cage. Lindsey would circle until she ran out of space. And then Del Boni would unleash with some combos on Van Zant. And, Van Zant just had bad reaction to those shots. And when Van Zant, would unleash on Del Boni just kind of walked through him. I mean, it was a good performance from both fighters. It's just Van Zant couldn't deal with the pressure from Del Boni and the cage cutting. And Van Zant just needs to work on, some pop. She needs to put some more pop in her punches. She's a good striker and very fast, but she just doesn't have the pop in her that she needs in her strikes. Then on Saturday morning at ARC 5, this is the promotion I mentioned on the weekend preview that, they only have they're 3 rounds, but each round is only 3 minutes, and they have limited groundwork, so it makes for very fast-paced fights. Anyway, Kim Yoo-jung on the right-hand side there defeated Pae Kyung-ju via decision. Kim climbed to 1-1. Paik fell to 0-6. I got to give some credit to Hyun-Chu Baek there on the left-hand side. She seems to genuinely like the sport, because why do you keep fighting if you're already 0-5 and then you come in and you lose another one? She seems to really like the sport and have a lot of fun doing it. Otherwise, why would you keep coming back? I mean, granted, have some fighters turn their careers around. Yunah Hong has turned her record around. She started with a negative record, and I believe she's now evened up or close to evened up. Celine Haga is a really good story. At one point, she was like 1 and 9 or 1-10, and she's really turned her record around too. I mean, she still, I think, has a losing record, but let me see what Celine Hogg is at right now. At one point, Celine Haga had a record of 1-11, and she turned it around, and she's at 13-17. So is she ever going to have a winning record? Possibly not. Maybe not. But still, you can definitely have a terrible record to start your career with and then turn it around. But you've got to dedicate yourself to proper training and, take the necessary steps to improve as a fighter. Then also on Saturday over in Russia, Open FC had their strawweight Grand Prix, opening round. It's 4-woman Grand Prix. Victoria Dudakova on the right-hand side there defeated Ksenia Lachkova via doctor stoppage after the first round. And I got to say, the cut, and I don't know, maybe the referee missed it, but the cut was opened up by an illegal knee on the ground. The fight definitely should have been like Lachkova's by disqualification. But she was behind on the cards anyway. Like, I had Dudakova winning that first round. And I don't know what their rules are. But anyway, Victoria Dudakova moves on. And then in the other bout, Marina Shutova defeated the more experienced Anna Rudenko via split decision. So, both of the younger, less experienced fighters came out ahead in this Grand Prix, and they'll be facing each other in the finals sometime later in the year. So congrats to Victoria Dudakova and Marina Shutova. Then in the UFC 263, two ladies bouts. Pani Kianzad defeated Alexis Davis at bantamweight via unanimous decision. Kianzad climbed to 15-5. Davis climbed to 20 or fell to 20-11. That was pretty uneventful, honestly. And then at flyweight, where was it? Lauren Murphy defeated Joanne Calderwood via split decision. Murphy climbed to 15-4. Calderwood climbed to 15-6. I'll be honest, I would have given this to Calderwood, but at the end of the day, do either of them have a shot at the title against Valentina Shevchenko? No. So I mean, Lauren Murphy, she's probably going to get her title shot, get a good payday, and get destroyed. For Joanne Calderwood, it was nothing more than a stay of execution. I'll be honest, neither of these fighters to me looked like they really wanted to go in there and actually win this fight. It's like they were in there. It was almost like a glorified sparring session. So to me, you could say, oh, the wrong fighter got the decision. But let's be honest here. Did JoJo really try to win this fight? I mean, did she really try to put an emphasis on winning this fight? I don't think so. Did Murphy? No. So either way, I don't know. Either way, I don't think it's going to matter. So that is it for the weekend review. Let's go ahead and talk about chats. I do have a discussion topic and some odds and ends. CJ32 said, look how horribly she is on pads so far. And no, 7 months isn't too quick. Could go within 7 months. Yes, I'm only speaking hitting pads. Why is not sparring or fighting? I mean, yeah, you can definitely get good on pads within 7 months, but yeah, not honestly, anyone can train to look good on pads, though. It seems like she should get cut. I'm guessing Leon's talking about Amanda Bell. What's next for Bell and Magnakina if they both stay in Bellator? Good question. Good question. So let me bring up Bellator's top 15. because I believe they are both ranked, or at least I think Bell might be ranked. Let's see if either of them are ranked. By the way, these are from May 25th, so they're going to be outdated come this week. All right, women's featherweight. Let's see, are either of these ladies ranked? So Amanda Bell is at number 8. So I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up being removed. And probably Jesse Mealy might move up. Nogueira might move up. And we'll probably see Marina Rodriguez down there at number 10. Excuse me. Although if the rankings panel for Bellator is anything like the rankings panel for Bellator or UFC, then we might see Marina Rodriguez move in there straight into number 8. I don't agree with that, but that's just how it is sometimes. So let's go ahead. Judy says Bell has more loss than wins. Yeah, I mean, her record has pretty much always been, right there around that 500 level. Viva Lila del Encanto. I'm guessing that's something about Puerto Rico. No habla, Judy. No habla. Can't remember which fighters' faces messed up in Invicta. So it was Marissa Mesa Valencia and Linda Mahalik, both of whom won the bouts that their faces got messed up in. Judy wants to know Del Boni or Zapatella. What's the chat's pick? And then Leon says he had it draw round 1 Calderwood, round 2, and Murphy 10-8 round. So you had it a draw. Round 1 went to Calderwood, round 2 to Murphy, and then Calderwood got a 10-8 round 3. Okay. Judy says JoJo was her pick. What matchups would I make? As far as the UFC goes? Well, I mean, I guess got to give Murphy the title shot at this point. As far as JoJo, time to make her justify her top 5 ranking right now. Let me bring up the rankings here real quick. I'm not sure if you guys will be able to read these or not. Yeah, should be able to. Hold on. Sometimes I can't remember where my mouse is. So Calderwood's at number 6, and she's basically been alternating wins and losses. So give her someone. Give her Viviera Ujo, give her Alexa Grasso, give her Andrea Lee, give her Tyler Santos, give her somebody that would fight and make her justify that ranking. Whereas Murphy, she's at number 3. She's not going to beat Calderwood, I don't think. Yeah, just give her the title shot, I guess. I mean, she has more wins, I think, more consecutive wins than I think anyone else in the division besides the champ. Leon's picking Del Boni to beat Zapatella. Versus Marine in the UFC. Yeah, I'm going to have to think about that. Because you got to do something with them. Oh, Murphy 10-8 round 2 and Calderwood won the other rounds. Okay. So let's talk about, as soon as this comes up here, wanted to take a couple minutes and talk about career management. There we go. Career management. And I think I got two good examples here of how you can manage your career at different stages of it and how they're important. So first up, let's talk about Marina Rodriguez. So Rodriguez got some crap online. Dana White had announced a fight between her and Mackenzie Dern for July. And then she came out and said, nah, I never agreed to that fight. And people got on her, started getting on her about it. And she said, she didn't want to fight until I think September, something like that. Whereas Dern wanted to fight, keep that July fight date. And, Marina said that, she just came through a fight, which she did. She just fought a 5-round main event fight on short notice. And she wanted to work on some things with her coaches and actually have a true full fight camp before having another fight. And I don't blame her. But we had some haters online. And I mean, two in particular that will remain nameless. The one was hating on her a bit, but then I heard, some people gave him some good reasoning for why it was smart for Marina to not take the fight with Dern right away. Whereas the other guy's a clown and just completely accused her of ducking, called her a duck, called her a chicken or a coward or whatever, what have you. Yeah, like I said, that guy's a clown. Listen, Marina Rodriguez stepped up on 2 weeks' notice, fought a 5-round main event fight. Okay? And then they want her to fight 2 months later. I don't blame her. And against an opponent that is a very dangerous opponent for her in Mackenzie Dern. Because we all know Rodriguez, her takedown defense isn't that great, and she's very weak on the ground. You get her down on her back, she has a hard time getting up. So I don't blame Mackenzie Dern, because here's the thing, or I don't blame Marina Rodriguez for wanting a full fight camp. Because here's the thing, she's a top 5, I think she's top 5 right now. You're in, that upper echelon. You're in that top 10, top 5. You got to be smart about the fights you take and how you manage your career. You can't just take fights on short notice, risky fights like that on short notice. Especially, look, if a fighter is getting a big push from the UFC and they want you to fight that fighter, guess what? The UFC is expecting you to lose. So it would behoove you to maybe turn down that fight. Granted, if you're confident you can beat them and you beat them, then you look even better. But if you're not all that confident in fighting them, at least not right away without, having enough time to train specifically for that opponent, then it's a lot smarter to take a full fight camp and specifically prepare. Take some time to prepare for that opponent. You're in the top 5. You're closing in on a title shot. Do not take any fight lightly. Do not take any decision to fight lightly. Listen to your coaches. Listen to your manager. If they're good, they'll guide you right. And personally, I think that Rodriguez's coaches and management are guiding her right. They said, take a full camp before you fight again. I think she's managing her career very properly right now. People can say that she's ducking Dern. Maybe she is. That's up to you. For my money, she is managing her career properly, and she has a good head on her shoulders to say, you know what? I just fought on 2 weeks' notice in a main event fight for you, and you're trying to stick me out there less than 2 months later against an opponent. No, I'm going to stand my ground and say, no, I'm not fighting for a few months at least. I need a break. need to take some time off, and then I need to get back into fight camp. Because, look, you fight 5 full rounds, it doesn't matter who you're fighting. You're not going to come out of there unhurt. You need a break after a fight like that. So you need to take some time to rest. Then you get back in the gym, start working out, and then you go back into your fight camp. Because you don't want to enter fight camp hurt and worn out, because guess what? You're going to get hurt even worse in fight camp. And it's going to make, if you make it to the fight, it's going to be that much harder for you. So this is one of those times where you're best to not take a fight, not to sell a loss like that, because Rodriguez is at the top, is closing in on that title picture. So she needs to be smart about when she fights and who. On the other hand, you have Tabitha Ricci, who came in on short notice and got mollywopped by Manon Fiorot. Moved up in weight class to do it as well. Ricci could afford to take that L. Okay? She was 5-0. Hadn't really fought anyone worth talking about before this. But hey, she stepped up. She put forth as best of an effort as she could against a much bigger fighter. Much bigger. Talking a huge flyweight in Manon Fiorot. Basically, what Tabitha Ricci did was to sell a loss. She basically sold a loss. She came in knowing that she was most likely going to lose, like 90% likely to lose. But you know what? By signing that fight contract, she got into the UFC at only 5-0 as a fighter with no good solid wins. But guess what? Now she's in the UFC. Now she can move back down to strawweight and try her hand there in the deepest women's division, the UFC strawweight division. So this is early career management where you took a big risk. You knew it was a big risk, but guess what? It was an immediate payoff because your career trajectory actually moved up in spite of taking that loss. Because MMA is not boxing. You take a loss early in MMA, it really doesn't mean much. You take a loss within your first 10, 15 fights in boxing, you're already on a downward trajectory after that. That's just how boxing is. But in MMA, you can afford to take a loss early in your career as a prospect and still keep going and still keep moving up the ladder. So this is an example of career management early in your career where you took a risky fight, and honestly, even in a loss, it paid off. That was a win-win situation for Tabitha Ricci going in against Manon Fiorot. She wins, boom, she came in on short notice, defeated somebody nobody expected her to beat, and her popularity would have skyrocketed. But guess what? Even in a loss, she still won because she got into the UFC. So she reached that goal. Now she's got to, prove herself in still a deep, very deep division. So that was 2 examples of career management that I wanted to talk about because, a lot of fighters make decisions and you're wondering, well, why would this fighter make this decision? Well, it usually comes down to, career management. I felt that was necessary to talk about, particularly, the Marina Rodriguez one more than the Tabitha Ricci one. Tabitha Ricci one's kind of easy to figure out. But for Rodriguez, I saw that she was getting some hate, and I felt it was unjustified. I did that. Judy says, Murphy wants a title shot. No good for her. Valentina will swipe the octagon with her. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't give Murphy any chances against Valentina Shevchenko, but you got to take the chance when you get it. I mean, she wants it. Go in there, get the payday. I mean, Lauren Murphy's, how old is she? Let's see. Lucky Lauren Murphy is 37 years old. So she's automatically going to get a boost in pay for that title shot. So get in there, get that career high payday and take the bump. You know, like I said, career management. You get a shot at the title, you'd almost be dumb to turn it down. So take it, get that payday at the end of towards the end of your career. All right, so that's it for this weekend. But there's some big stuff coming up this next weekend as well. Deep Jules 33 goes down, late Saturday evening, early Sunday morning. Live, it'll be on pay-per-view. You can go. You probably can't see the image that great, but if you want to watch, it's at spwn.jp/events. It's 3,000 yen the day of the fight, but if you buy it early, it's 2,500. So I think it goes from like $29 down to like $24.50 if you buy it early ahead of time. Also, Deep 101 is like later on that day, and if you buy them both at the same time, you also get a discount. But Deep Jules 33 has two headlining events. First, you got the Atomweight Grand Prix, the semifinals and final, which will decide the new Deep Jules Atomweight champion. But then you also have, in the co-main event, is going to be a strawweight title bout. Miki Motono defending her title against Seika Izawa in a rematch from December, a non-title bout, where Seika Izawa pulled the upset there against Miki Motono. So in the first semifinal of the Atomweight Grand Prix, you have Hikaru Ano taking on Nisei Mizuki Oshiro. Ano should be able to take this one. I haven't seen good enough takedown defense out of Nisei to stop Hikaru Ano's takedowns. I don't expect this to be a particularly exciting fight, because Hikaru Ano is not a particularly exciting fighter. She's mostly okay, I got you down. Now what do I do once I have you here type of fighter. Almost like a pure wrestler. Oshiro, I think, will try to keep it on the feet and try to strike with Ano. I just don't see it happening. Then in the other bout, we have a rematch from December. Shiyu Park taking on Saori Oshima. Park won via decision in a bout that she actually had a point taken away in one of the rounds in their first bout. So it ended up being a draw, and then it went to like a must decision where the judges had to basically pick a winner, and they gave it to Park. But Park was definitely winning that fight. But this, I think, is the more exciting matchup. I would have liked to have seen this more in the finals. Oshima was able to take Park. Park is primarily a kickboxer, but Oshima was able to take her down in their first fight and threaten a submission. So it'll be very interesting to see, who's developed more as far as the rematch goes from December. So it'll be a little over 6 months since they first fought. So you got Ano versus Nisei and Park versus Oshima. My pick in the first one is going to be Ano. And then in the second bout, I think Park beats Oshima again. So we'll see Ano versus Park in what will be a rematch from, I think, 2018 or 2019. And that'll be interesting. But I think Park will end up winning that one and being crowned the Grand Prix winner and the new Deep Jules Atomweight champion. But like I said, don't forget also on that card is a strawweight bout, or strawweight title bout. The champ, Miki Motono, taking on the challenger, Seika Izawa. They had a very close fight back in, I think it was December. And it was a non-title bout, so even though Seika Izawa won, Motono was still the champion. She still is the champion. So now Izawa wants to take the title home, whereas Motono says, I took you too lightly the first bout. Now I got to defend my title and prove that I'm the champion. So this one should be a good one as well. Also on the Deep Jules 101 card, or just Deep 101 card later that day, we have the return of King Reina taking on Yoko Higashi. If you've never seen King Reina fight before, her whole personality and everything is something to see. But what really interests me in this fight, I don't give much of a chance to Yoko Higashi. She's an okay fighter, but not particularly good, just okay. Whereas you could almost say the same thing about King Reina. But King Reina, she switched. She is on a vegan diet now and has dropped a ton of weight. You know, she was always fighting at like featherweight or higher, wasn't taking her diet seriously, just wasn't getting down to her proper weight class, which she looks a lot better as a bantamweight now. I think if she keeps losing weight, she could even get down to flyweight possibly, but she's looking a lot better at bantamweight. Really looking forward to seeing how she does without all that, carrying all that weight on her. So that's Deep 101 Impact on Sunday morning in the U.S. And then next weekend, there's 2 ladies bouts on the UFC Vegas 29 card. But for me, this is the one I am most interested in. Verna Jandiroba versus Kanako Murata. Both are former Invicta strawweight champions. Both are primarily ground fighters. Both have somewhat different styles, though. Whereas Jandiroba is an accomplished, Brazilian jiu-jitsu and submission grappler, Murata is a high-level wrestler out of a country that produces extremely high-level women wrestlers in Japan. So this one, I feel, has fallen under a lot of people's radar, but this is going to be a ground fight I think you're going to want to watch because both are very good at doing what they do best. I mean, Jandiroba took during the distance, and a lot of people thought that, that decision should have gone her way. So she gave Mackenzie Dern everything Dern could handle. And like I said, a lot of people think that she won that bout. Whereas Murata, I think this is only her second or third fight in the UFC, but do not underestimate her. She's very strong, solid wrestling background, and very aggressive as well. So definitely keep an eye on this bout. I might try to make a video later this week hyping it up because I think that this is a ground battle that should make for a very good, exciting fight. So definitely look forward to that. Anyway, that's all I really have for you. Thanks for those tuning in. Anybody has anything in the chat they want to say before I go, I'll give you a minute. I want to look up this Murata versus Jandiroba fight real quick. So Jandiroba coming in 16-2, Murata coming in 12-1. Jandiroba, of course, coming in off that loss to Mackenzie Dern 6 months ago. Murata, this is only her second fight in the UFC. She defeated Randa Marcos 6 months ago. Jandiroba, the elder fighter, 33-27. A little bit taller, 5'3" to 5'1" for Murata. And slightly longer reach to 64 inches to 62 for Murata. So the physical dimensions all favor Jandiroba, but I think this is going to be a very close fight. Definitely one to look forward to. Like I said, I haven't really heard anybody talking about this fight. It's just getting overlooked. The other ladies bout on that card is Lara Procopio versus Casey O'Neill. That's a fairly low-level flyweight bout. But Casey O'Neill usually has some fun fights, so keep an eye out for her. Anyway, that's it. That's all I have for tonight. So we saw the invasion of women's boxing, and then we also had the Invicta Atomweight Phoenix Tournament. So keeping International Atomweight Month going. To close it out, I'll be doing the Deep Jewels 33 live fight companion or fight hangout, as it were. So keep an eye out for that. I'll make sure to put some links up if you want to purchase Deep Jewels 33. Like I said, it's not that expensive, and you're helping out an all-ladies fight promotion as well. So even if you don't buy the fights, come hang out in the chat for the fight companion and the fight hangout. I'm going to try to get another guest or two to come join in as well. Judy V says, Bon nuit tout le monde. Good night, everyone. Good night, everyone. Have a nice night. So, like I said, keep an eye out for the Deep Jewels fight companion, fight hangout, and have a good night.